Really thought that was going to play there. Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Sniffle Nose McGee Jaconis.
Am I getting punked right now? Because I can hear the intro music.
Wait, you can hear it? I can't hear it.
I can hear it.
That's incredible.
I thought it was the COVID getting to my brain.
No, I can't hear it at all. Maybe it is the COVID in your brain. You can just hear it, and I can't. That's a new COVID symptom, the new variant.
Wow. You can hear a shitty podcast in your ears. All right.
All right. Okay, cool. Let's try that again.
That should be the intro right there. I like it.
Here it is.
All right.
It probably will be. Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Jaconis. I used my funny thing over the opening. Luke, I'm just going to get it out there for the listeners. You have COVID.
I got the COVID, man.
How are you feeling?
Thank you for asking. Feeling okay. A little bit stuffy. We'll kind of see how this goes. Blabbering for a while, see how long I can last, and we'll do our best. But overall, feeling good. Worst of the symptoms, I think, are behind us. Now it's just kind of what's the policy now? We're 4 years really past when this thing really came onto the scene. When you first got it, you had to not go outside for 6 months. Now what is the protocol? My mindset is 3 to 5 days in that ballpark. And then I think you're good to go. Am I wrong on that? Is Dr. Fauci going to suspend me?
It's like 5 to 5 days is like the CDC guideline. I think I haven't.
Okay.
I work from home, so I've never really paid attention to when I can return to the office.
Yeah, it is. I will be back at work on Monday. So that is the plan. I tested positive. I had it probably Tuesday night. So Monday, I'll be good. I'll be good.
Correct.
And if I'm not good, I won't go. I'll be safe and not be a moron. Yeah, we'll be good. Thank you for asking. Yes, I don't. It was either the Walt Disney World Resort or the Orlando International Airport that did this to me. So some might say, well, you're never going to go back again, right? Because why would you go back to a place that gave you COVID? Oh, those suckers! I'm going back in a few weeks with Alex. It's going to be
we'll
great.
see you in a few weeks.
See you in 3 weeks, folks.
And you're not going to catch it again in 3 weeks. I'm not saying
I'm going to be the most immune out of.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can lick the streets.
The amount of trash cans and dirty Disney water I can drink while we're there. It's just, I'm going to be just flowing with disease, but I'm immune. That's how it works. So
now, okay. For the listeners, we are going, not that this is a Disney podcast, we are going to Epcot, where it is a bit of Epcot tradition to eat off of a trash can. Because it's a wonderful table for the various foods and things that you can find in the World Showcase. But what I think you just implied, Luke, is that you're going to eat the trash. Is that accurate?
Yes. The Disney food prices are very expensive, and I have to do what I have to do. And since I'm going to be immune for a few months now that I got COVID, why not go dumpster diving? And one man's trash is another man's dinner, and that's how I'm going to be approaching our trip. We'll only be there for 48 hours, but I'm going to eat good, and most of all, it's all going to be free.
Speaking of one man's trash, let's talk about the Detroit Tigers.
Beautiful segue.
I'm going to kind of get right out and say it. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but we are recording this on Friday, June 21st, around 5:00 p.m. So we're heading into the weekend series with the White Sox. If they don't sweep the White Sox, the season is over.
You're nicer than I am. I tweeted out, I think, following the sweep of the Braves, that 7-0 loss, that the season's over. And some can say it's June, and I get it. You're absolutely right. They could lose 6 more games in a row. They could lose the rest of June. They could use the rest of June and all of July and win all of August. I get the mathematics. I get it. I don't want to hear it. No one cares about math nerds. This season's over, as far as I'm concerned.
Taking the grain of salt from people that are they're not mathematically eliminated. Sure, I agree, and the Braves are the Braves, and so whatever about those results. But if you're in a wild card race and you need to rattle off a winning streak, and you can't sweep one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, then you're never gonna string together enough wins to make up that deficit if you can only go 2 of 3 from the White Sox.
Yeah. To me, I'm not even. I don't even care if they sweep the White Sox. I still think the season. Because here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Let's be positive for a second. Let's say they sweep the White Sox. Okay. Then right after that, they're playing the Philadelphia Phillies, one of the best teams in baseball. Then they're going to play the Angels, and for whatever reason, the Tigers can never beat the Angels. So what I don't want to have happen, what I've already told myself, even if I do tune in for some of these games this upcoming weekend, which I don't know if I will, because one of those three, you have to watch Can't Pitch Maeda take them out, and I'm done watching that idiot throw pitches. Done. Horrible signing. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't, but Maeda's been just awful. Unwatchable, truly unwatchable on the mound. Let's say, though, they find a way to sweep the White Sox. I don't want to then get all excited that we went from 6 games under to 3 games under, 4 games out of. I'm done. I'm done with the. For me, I'm done. I'm done with the back end until I see like an 8-game winning streak. I'm done. Now I'll say this. I'll play devil's advocate. They sweep the White Sox. They sweep the Phillies. I think they play 4 against the Angels. They take 3 or 4 or sweep the Angels. Maybe I'm back in, but right now I'm done. I absolutely have no interest in watching this team. I will follow along sporadically. I'll follow along from the sidelines. I'm telling you this much, and this is a big thing I've been kind of conversing with some people on Tigers Twitter about, Alex. I know you're really not on Twitter much these days, but what this Tigers team has shown me, it's not the bit, not the joke of like I'm done watching them. I'm never going to fully be able to separate myself. I admit that. But if I can't watch them every day, the next step for me is next year. I'm right now 50-50 not getting MLB TV. That's the thing where I'm taking myself. Like I'm not spending $140, whatever it is, to watch. I can easily follow along on the app for free. I don't have to financially invest or commit my time like I've done these last few years when the product
and MLB audio is only
shit.
$20. So
perfect. And I'd rather
Dan
listen
Dickerson's
to Dan
way
Dickerson.
better. Yeah.
He's the man. He's the man. And nothing against Benetti, nothing against the booth, but I am so numb. Maybe it's the COVID talking. Maybe that could be it. But
he's literally numb.
I'm numb. Someone please help. No, I don't know. I'm just so unimpressed. I'm so uninspired. I don't like this team. And even if they were winning, of course I'd be a little bit more excited. We all would. But there's not one person on this team that I am just like, that's my guy. That's my Miguel Cabrera. That's my Curtis Granderson. That's my Justin Verlander. That's my Austin Jackson, Alex Avila, Brandon Inge. The list goes on. There's not one. Riley Green, I'm like, yeah, he's fine. He's cool. I got nothing against him. He's cool. Matt Vierling steps up every now and then. He's cool. Tarek Skubal's fine. He's cool. Foley's fine. He's cool. But there's no one that I'm like, yeah, that's the guy who's taking us to the next 5 years. And I think that's a massive problem.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel similarly. I get much closer with Tarek Skubal. That like Skubal starts for me are still feel pretty can't miss. That I want to watch Tarek pitch, but the problem with that, if you're looking at the financials of fanship, right, is that Tarek only plays every so often because he's a starting pitcher, and so the other guys in the lineup. Like I'm going to watch Jack Flaherty pitch tonight, and I like watching Jack pitch, but I think at this point Jack is as good as gone at the trade deadline, and hopefully that means a big haul for him that can set us up for the future. But I'm not then investing my emotion as a fan in Jack Flaherty because he's not going to be a Tiger long term, and nor is he going to be the thing in this moment that takes the Tigers back to the playoffs, I don't think, because the rest of the rotation has been like meh, and we're sitting in a spot where, yeah, they're going to just be somewhere between 6 and 10 games under 500 the rest of the way, and I'm much more excited for the NFL season to start than I am to watch.
Me too.
The Tigers limp to 10 games under 500.
Speaking of which, are we all going in again on Sunday Ticket? You, me, and resident Ace fan Tom Souls. I meant to text you that.
I think so. Tom,
All
because
right,
I know
wonderful.
that you're listening, Tom, will you just text us that you're in, and we'll make the arrangements.
Yeah, let's do that
That's how
again.
business is done, folks, in the sports world.
That's how you know how shitty this Tiger season is, when you're just openly talking about your financial and strategic plan, how you and your buddies are going to split Sunday Ticket 3 months before the NFL season kicks off. Yeah, no, I think I hate to be the pessimist, because there was a point in time where I used to be a blind optimist with the Tigers, but I am so beyond the point of caring. I have no faith in anything that's going with this team right now. I saw rumors that Jace Young was maybe going to get the call up this week. There was speculation that might happen. It looks like it's not happening, for the record. But even if it did, I was like, cool, fine. And that's where I'm having to kind of look at myself in the mirror and be like, look, this is supposed to be fun for you. So if you're really if you're this, check out, go do your thing, do what you got to do. But yeah, I mean, I'll always be a fan. I'll always be tuning in, and I understand for two guys that have a Detroit Tigers podcast, probably not the best for business for me to be like, folks, don't watch the games. Yeah. Be like Alex and I. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. For anyone who cares, that's kind of my mantra of if I got 20 minutes, let me put it this way: I had COVID Wednesday afternoon, and rather than sit there and suffer through 9 innings of Tigers baseball, which, by the way, was a Tarek Skubal start, I watched 3 innings and said, yeah, this game's over, and turned on trash reality TV. So that's where I'm at. Someone who's been a diehard Tiger fan for 29 years of his life. Well, maybe not quite 29, more around 2003, 2004. Once Pudge got to Motown is when I became a fan. But I digress. It's bad. It's not looking good. And unless an immediate win streak starts like tonight, it's only going to get worse. And it's funny because on our last episode, we talked about how this team was one losing streak, away from this season sinking. And right now they are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak. Now, albeit you would hope they could take at least 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. They should theoretically sweep them. But I'm done giving them any brownie points, any grace. This is a bad baseball team. They've got pitching. Yeah, that shows up from time to time. But ultimately, this offense is completely screwed. And it is just, once again, feels like we're back in 2018, 2019 mode, where it's like, what's the plan here? What's the strategy? And it's just clear as day that there are still so many questions that need to be answered with this offense, and not nearly enough answers. And that's where we're at. So it just sucks. A lot of questions, no answers. We're screwed.
Yeah, and it just feels, I mean, it feels so much more like listless than 2018, 2019, because it was like they were terrible those years, but they were terrible. And this, like, when I look at a lot of the guys on this team kind of individually, I'm like, no, I mean, like, you're not terrible, but you're not good. I wish that they were like more terrible. Then I could just be like, oh, they're terrible. It's fine.
That's what I'm saying. I've, I'm sure 2019 would slap the shit out of me for saying this, but I would almost rather watch the 2019 Tigers, because then I know what I'm tuning into. I'm tuning in every 5 days to watch Jordan Zimmerman take the mound. Batting cleanup might be Jordy Mercer or Brandon Dixon. You just never really know. But at least you know what you're getting into with that. You're like, all right, this is a bad team. They're going to maybe win 50 games if they're lucky. This team, again, it's the hope that'll kill you. We all went in, you and me both, buddy. We thought this was the year they were going to win the Central. We saw how putrid it was in seasons past. We're like 85 games. That's all it's going to take to win the Cleveland's going to probably win 100 games this year, damn near. Kansas City's not that far behind them. Minnesota as well.
I think they're going to end up in the 90s. Kansas City.
It's a total mind F, because I just don't really know where. I mean, let's look at this just by position. Then let's just a quick game of not even cut him or keep him, but yes or no. Is Jake Rogers the catcher of the future?
No.
We don't even have a first base right now because our 1-1 is rotting in Toledo. I don't think Spencer Torkelson, though, is the first baseman of the future, so I'm giving him a no. Colt Keith is the one along with probably Riley Green, I'd say yes. I'm still willing to give Colt Keith some time.
Yeah.
It's his first year. He's been a big leaguer for 3 months. Definitely jury is still out on him, so I'll say yes. Javier Baez, no.
Financially, he
Gio
is.
Urshela, yeah, financially is, which is why we're screwed. Gio Urshela, no.
I'll go maybe
Zach
with
McKinstry.
Gio.
I think he's going to be gone. I don't think he's going to be
Yeah.
even a Tiger. I think by Labor Day he's going to be in another uniform.
No, I would agree with you. I think that they should move Gio.
Yeah,
but in terms of guys that I would like to maybe be around, I like Gio. I don't dislike Gio.
I like him too. Yeah, like they're to be fair, there's no guys that I like. I don't absolutely like personally hate these guys. Like, there's a couple like Javi. I'm not a fan of. I'm not a Javi guy. There's a couple guys, bullpen wise. I used to really like Chafin's gimmick, but once he started kind of underperforming, I was like, God, this guy's just annoying. It looks like it because it's almost that mentality of like, he's kind of got that I don't care attitude, but you can't have an I don't care attitude when the results don't show, because then it's like, well, then you don't care.
You actually just don't care.
You just don't care. So yeah, Alex Lang's done for the season. I don't know if you saw that. So the bullpen's definitely hurting there. So and then outfield, you got guys like Vierling. You got a Mark Canha, who I don't think is going to be around come the end of July. Riley Green will be around. Wenzel Perez maybe. Again? The grimace, man. Can the hamburger come and throw in some first pitches for us, ceremonial first pitches? Maybe that'd get us on a win
Honestly,
streak.
I think we just want to sign Grimace as a reliever.
Can he play shortstop?
At least as good as Javi.
He's a big dude, so he can definitely suck up a lot of balls. The question now is, can he throw to first? And then can he hit? He can't be much worse than Javier Baez.
No, he doesn't even need to throw to first. That hasn't been a requirement to be the shortstop for the Detroit Tigers for years.
No, it's just it's a bad state of affairs. Here's the question I have for you. I was talking with one thing I'm really actually happy to see for the most part is everyone on Tigers Twitter is over this. Like, there's not one person who's like, come on, guys, give them time. Everyone's like, this team sucks. We were bamboozled. Mm-hmm. Scott Harris has been a bust thus far, as much as Spencer Torkelson has. Chris Ilitch is still a more. Did you see Chris Ilitch was in Atlanta for the 3-game series visiting an old college friend or something like that, an old buddy? And he was, I guess, present in all 3 games, where he watched his team score 2 runs over 3 days.
Has Chris been to more games in Atlanta than he has in Detroit this year?
Probably. I tweeted out, Chris Ilitch probably showed up to the series in Atlanta and he's so out of touch with his team. He probably was like, hey, AJ, where's Ian Kinsler at? How's Johnny Peralta doing this season? Haven't seen him in a while. What's going on there?
What's going on with those guys?
Chris, he's a moron. The question I have for you, though, I'll kind of point the daggers back at Scott Harris, who's definitely more involved in making decisions than that bozo Chris Ilitch. So Scott Harris has now been here since August of, I think, 2022. He's coming up on his 2-year anniversary. We've seen him now through 2 off seasons, 1 trade deadline. Most likely he's about to encounter his 2nd trade deadline, and then we'll get to see him through his 3rd off season. So essentially going into spring training 2025, we are going to have 3 off seasons of Scott Harris and 2 trade deadlines. At that point in time, are you willing to make a final declaration of if this guy sucks or not? Because I am.
Yeah. Because I think
plenty of time.
Because I think at this point, looking at both this trade deadline and this upcoming offseason, you either are going to trade off kind of the short-term deal guys, which I think is what we're going to see, the guys that are sort of rental type things. And then we need to see splashy moves in the offseason and like big checks getting written, or this franchise is officially not serious about winning. Because I can understand and give them the benefit of the doubt while the Miggy contract was on the books, not wanting to get themselves caught up again in a Prince Fielder type deal, in what is now a Javi Baez type deal, where you're way overpaying for a guy. By the numbers the back end of Miguel Cabrera's deal was obviously not a good deal for the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can understand, okay, until this moment, we're like, we don't have enough pieces to go win a championship in Miguel Cabrera's final years. So we're just going to kind of stand pat, let that stuff kind of come off the books, restart. Great. I will give you the benefit of the doubt. But if now at this point you don't go write a bunch of big checks, because there are role player guys on the roster in the organization who, if you had 3 big bats in the lineup, you had one more great starting pitcher, you can compete in the Central, because not every year are the Cleveland Guardians going to have just like a touched by God kind of year where they can't seem to do no wrong. Like, you will compete in the Central Division in that scenario. And so if you're not willing to go make those big moves right now, then you're not serious about winning. Then you're going to be like many of the like the Chicago Bulls, where it's like, yeah, if we just like live around 500, people will still come to the game and we'll make money on the team and whatever, but like, we're never going to win a championship again. And that's a way to run the franchise, I guess, but it is not necessarily a franchise that I'm as a fan any longer willing to live and die by.
Yeah, I don't think winning is urgent for any of these guys, and I think they've got a lot of the wrong guys leading the helm. And I agree with everything you said there. I do. The one question I have is this, and I don't hate AJ Hinch, I don't. But facts are facts. In 4 years' time, the guy has not had a winning season. Now, I don't think he's going anywhere, because you got to keep in mind this past offseason, it sounds like extended him to some sort of contract, which was undisclosed, that he's going to be here for a while, which I'm cool with.
Mm-hmm.
But give this guy a fighter's chance.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, like, it's the same bullshit that they put Ron Gardenhire through, except with AJ as opposed to Gardy. Gardy was like, you're really going to go through the trenches. By now, they had hoped and thought that some of these guys would have developed into major league talent, and about 95% of them have not. So, yeah, I know it's not as bloody and as bleak as the Gardy era, but I mean, it's not great. In some ways, I think it's worse because there was expectation. We thought by now in 2024, this is a team that could at least finish 500 and make a run at the wild card. I mean, for God's sakes, like, that wasn't that unrealistic or that insane of a demand to ask for, especially coming off the heels of a year like last year, where it ended pretty well. And it just, I'm getting so many flashbacks to the 2022 season, where you got to keep in mind 21 ended with like, hey, that was a pretty fun summer of baseball. They ended like 6 or 7 under 500. There was, the young kids were coming up. You had made a couple of extensions with a guy like a Jonathan Scope. Miggy was chasing those accolades. It all just seemed like it was going to kind of finally work in 22, and it just didn't. It was awful and terrible, and injuries and lackluster offense. 2023, same thing. Young guys are up. Ended the season pretty strongly. What does that give us for 2024? A big fat fart. That's where we're at right now. So it's just, it's not great. And I would love to see what AJ Hinch could do with a roster full of legitimate talent, or even just half a roster of legitimate talent. But the fact of the matter is, outside of a guy like Tarek Skubal and Riley Green, most of these guys are career AAA guys or veterans who are at the twilight part of their career. And this is not a real baseball team.
Yeah.
As Logan Roy would say, I love you, but you are not serious people. And that's how I feel with this team. You're not a serious organization. And you watch a team like Atlanta play baseball, and you're like, yep, that's it. I'm watching it. It does exist. You can do it. And it's just not even anywhere close to the Detroit Tigers' DNA for a Major League Baseball team. So it is what it is. It's a bummer. And excuse me. And you hope it changes. The optimist in you always thinks it will, but I don't see it changing soon too. And I think by the end of July, you're going to see Flaherty gone,
Mm-hmm.
Urshela gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I raised this question beyond those guys, really Jack Flaherty. Who else is anybody going to want from this team?
Yeah.
And with all due respect to a Gio Urshela or a Mark Canha, unless they really start hitting the cover off the ball these next few weeks, they're like fringe guys. Like you're not going to get a great haul in return for Gio Urshela. Now you start throwing out the name Tarek Skubal, definitely. And I don't know how I feel about the Skubal thing. Honestly, a couple weeks ago, I think even on our last episode, I said don't trade him. Just watching how the last week or two has unfolded and knowing what I think is going to kind of unfold these next couple weeks, I'm in the trade him camp. Let's do it. Let's do it. They never struck when the iron was hot with a Matthew Boyd. Let's see what happens. Let's see. That's truly the Scott Harris test of all tests. If he botches a trade for one of the best pitchers in baseball, you know that this guy's not cut out for the job. So there's a part of me that I'm kind of like, let's do it. Let's run the risk. Let's dump Skubal and let's see what we can get in return.
Yeah. I mean, really pull out all the stops at this point. Do whatever you can
to turn
this thing around, because we're looking at another decade of mediocrity if they don't do something big.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that they are in a lot of trouble, and I don't know there's just so many holes that they have to fix, man. This is not, this is not okay. Hey, we gotta figure something out at shortstop for real this time. Everyone else is producing, but no one's producing on this team.
Yeah,
and it's pretty bleak and pretty brutal. And even a guy who I really liked, like a Kerry Carpenter, hurt. Don't know when he's coming back. So it's just this team is just screwed. They are really, really screwed right now. And I think it's gonna get a lot worse. If you were looking for the pick me up episode, this ain't it.
This ain't it, folks.
This is bad. This is bad. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, Luke. Well, feel better. Physically, I don't know that we'll feel better about the Tigers, but if we do, or if we don't, we'll be back to talk more about these Detroit Tigers. Luke, have a good one.
See you, buddy.